This is Bleeding Cool's top 100, but there's going to be a lot of four-letter words and foul language and swearing in this, so it'll be coming in a minute. I just can't read a Rich Johnson article without swearing incandescently. Their website crashes like every 30 seconds, so I'm going to cut right to the chase. 88 War Campaign, Comicsgate still remains a cause célèbre online, a still impressive exercise in virtue signaling to fund comic books outside of the comic industry. But this virtue was put to the test as cracks grew, prominent figures turned against each other, as purity tests from the War Campaign account, hashtag and ironic hashtag Blame War Campaign, as to whether members were or anti-progressive enough, and saw abuse previously directed at mainstream creators, many of whom have restricted their social media as a result, turned inwards. That is just bizarrely written, bizarrely edited. I don't think there was any editing to this. When you have a period and then a capital and, very, very strange. Anyway, congratulations to War Campaign. Sort of. It's like a backhanded compliment to make Bleeding Cool list. It's like, I don't know, getting an STD from a beautiful woman. Is it really something to be proud of? Anyway, okay, their criteria is kind of bizarre how they weigh things. It says it is judged by all manner of attributes, the ability to influence what comics exist and sell, but also the willingness to use that power in the industry to affect things, and the ability to retain said power if a job is taken away. What is that in English? This is some kind of bizarre 1984 newspeak. This is just double plus on good. We were always at war with Oceania. Okay, I'm not a big movie buff, but Kevin Feige, he's the dude who made Ghostbusters 2016, right? That was not very good. I think it actually lost money. I think it lost a couple $100 million. So why is he on Bleeding Cool's list, and why is he even working for anyone after that disaster? Okay, the NDO, blah, 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 5G. So another thing you'll find in common with these Bleeding Cool articles is so far I haven't seen anyone talking about sales, growing the audience, the bottom line, whether you're writing in black ink or red ink. There's very little business talk for an article that is about business insiders. It's more about, well, you'll see. C.B. Cebulski, editor-in-chief, slowly remaking Marvel in his own image. And that means a wider variety of comic book creators from across the world, especially East Asia. Is that a subtle joke at C.B. Cebulski, Johnny Cowboy? With books to match, he's been pushing connective tissue to create more of a shared universe than in recent years, and even a bit more fun around the place. Okay, so what does that have to do with sales? I don't know. Got kids, don't care. Venom. Frank Miller, crazy person. Let me get down to someone who... Okay, a lot of these articles these little blurbs are written by this. Like this. Joe Quesada, he used to be the modern face of Marvel Comics, though Joe Quesada has managed to grab a little of that magic. Joe Quesada, he used to be the modern face of Marvel Comics, though Joe Quesada has managed to grab a little of that magic. It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, you meant to put someone else's name in there, I'm guessing. No longer Chief Creative Officer, Marvel, but Executive VP, blah, blah, blah. He's take a proactive role. Okay, so how has that affected sales? I don't know. A strong political player at the publisher? How has that affected sales? You didn't tell me anything about anything. You cleverly talked around things. So he talks about being the strong public face of Marvel Comics, with a strong and active social media following. How does that help sell your product? Your social media following. Oh, are you advertising on your social media following and thus increasing sales? Well, you didn't mention it, so I'm assuming no. And from what I actually don't follow any of these people. But I do occasionally search their Twitter, and they don't really do a whole lot of selling. Al Ewing, who I did a video on yesterday, I don't know, about the Immortal Hulk, and as I said, it was always woke. Al Ewing is a racist piece of garbage. He hates the beautiful people of the light. Okay, the writer who would be king. He's got a lot of encyclopedic knowledge of comics, and that which he doesn't know, he will devour. He took a comic with very little anticipation, period, the Immortal Hulk, and made it outsell Batman. Okay, sales peaked, and then I think I don't know what they're down to now. They're not doing very well. And I think other people have talked about declining sales of Immortal Hulk. God, this website sucks. They're talking about Immortal Hulk declining sales, but I showed you the first issue in my last video. From issue number 1, it was blonde man bad, white man bad, Trump derangement syndrome. And there were several issues of, Trump derangement stuff, fascism, fascists are bad, and right anyone. I mean, the thing is, like, fascists are bad. Yeah, sure, fair enough. But the thing is, they call anyone who's a moderate or right of center a fascist. So it's so tiresome, as the Chinese man said to the African American man, if you know what video I'm talking about. God, that was classic. This Chinese guy was talking to this African guy, and he was complaining about the infrastructure was being run down. He was pissed that they weren't keeping it up, and the African guy was just kind of looking at him, rolling his eyes. It was just two people coming from kind of two different worlds, kind of thing. Tom King, I hope he gets help. Santa Amanat, the only reason you're hired is because of your name. It's vaguely ethnic, and you're slightly brown-skinned. That's it. Ms. Marvel, strong voice internally, and Marvel. Listen to this. She is a very strong voice internally, and Marvel, and a face for the publisher to the rest of the world. This is bizarrely badly written. Okay, you're talking about new projects, reaching out to new audiences. So how has that affected sales? Don't know, because Mr. Rich Johnson is not mentioning them. Blah, 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 blah. That's an interesting one. Chris Rial returned to IDW at the end of last year and has managed to create some new excitement at the publisher, bringing new projects, relaunching G.I. Joe and Transformers. Good luck with that. Creating spectacular heat for their TMNT series, getting some original heat with Kanto, and getting Joe Hill to do some new projects even as he launches Hill House. So how have sales been? Guess we're not going to actually talk about anything important. Qualitative and quantitative. Let's put some numbers down. Can't do that because numbers aren't great. So then why write an article if you're going to leave the meat out of it and just talk about the vegetables? Kelly Sue DeConnick, I've taken a look at many of her projects. Writer of Aquaman, Bitch Planet, and Pretty Deadly. Bitch Planet was so shockingly bad. Kelly Sue DeConnick, she really, really hates men. She's not just a feminist, but she's has a raging hard-on against men. Industry Fuel with the Captain Marvel movie based on her take on the character. She remains a font for advice, support, and comradeship. Okay, none of that matters. The only thing that matters are sales. And you're just skipping over all of that. A lot of these people are not famous for they're famous for these getting awards, Eisners or whatever, and for teaching writing classes in colleges. But this is a publicly traded business. You're on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, and you're not. These people aren't famous for making sales because they're not. Gail Simone, leading comic book writer, advisor to whom? The president. Social media presence, and whose Woman in Refrigerators continues to impact all over the place. She's also become showrunner, blah, blah, blah. Okay, critical acclaim. They say things like this. They say things gets award of critical acclaim. So has that translated into sales? No, it hasn't. Because if it did, they would mention it. Again, with a massive social media following and an uncompromising attitude, none of that matters. She brings a lot to the party. That doesn't matter. Can she sell comics? No, she cannot, because she cannot stop grinding her axe. Okay, Ta-Nehisi Coates is a racist racist, flat out racist. I made a video about his Twitter feed where he was laughing at these white South Africans being slaughtered by the black South Africans. Writer of Black Panther, as well as a literary activist, he has brought attention to this comic alongside the release of the movie and has created a small but new fan base. Oh, you cock blocker. Okay, creating a small but new fan base. That's a nice way of saying sales aren't good. Okay, this is another piece of work. Goldwater, Archie Comics guy. This guy and everyone on the Archie team. Oh, I've talked about Archie Comics and the, what is it? They do a bunch of offshoots, Betty and Veronica and the Vixens, a bunch of other these bizarre offshoots. They do the same thing that Al Ewing does, where every bad guy is of European descent, a beautiful person of the light, every single time. Bizarre. You have these white guys doing things like catcalling and just doing things that statistically are very, very improbable. But everyone on the Archie team is involved in this kind of weird racism that is so over the top that even to talk about it uses so many hot words that YouTube is just not really cool with it. Anyway, I took a look at it a long time ago. It's really dark. These people really hate you people. Anyway, this website is going to keep crashing, giving me pop-ups. So, like, comment, subscribe, guys. Happy New Year. Thanks for supporting the channel. You can get a t-shirt on Teesprings or check out Coffee or Patreon, PayPal, whatever. Tamara Bonvillain. Okay, is that a guy? I'm not real sure. Comics colorist, one of the most sought after in her field. When they use a lot of female pronouns, that probably means it's a guy. I thought that was a dude. I'm not quite sure. I mean, not that it matters. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode, which will also be in the new year, 2020. All right, guys, I'll see you then.